Kicked out of the bustling Galactic Mall and humiliated in front of thousands for his unmistakable red MAGA cap, Jonathan never imagined the janitor's wrath concealed a secret beyond comprehension. As tensions flared between pride and prejudice, an extraordinary revelation transformed a simple eviction into a clash of timelines. Unbeknownst to him, the man seeking to oust him was a time-traveling sage with a mission to reshape the future. What happened next would not only change Jonathan's life, but also challenge everything he thought he knew about loyalty and legacy. The bustling heart of the metropolis throbbed with life inside the sprawling Galactic Mall. The air buzzed with the cacophony of ringing cash registers, animated conversations, and the constant shuffle of thousands of footsteps echoing through the sleek, glass-paneled corridors. Neon signs flickered overhead, advertising everything from the latest tech gadgets to artisanal cupcakes, creating a vibrant tapestry of modern consumerism. Amidst this urban symphony strode Jonathan Smith, unmistakable in his bright red MAGA cap. His confident stride and infectious smile made him a familiar sight, yet not everyone greeted him with warmth. Jonathan, a proud Republican, carried himself with an air of unshakable self-assurance, his cap a bold statement of his beliefs and identity. At the base of a grand staircase, a figure loomed that starkly contrasted with the mall's polished ambience. Bob, the janitor, was clad in a garish bright blue jumpsuit, his face perpetually etched with irritation. His mop swung rhythmically as he navigated the crowd, eyes narrowing as they landed on Jonathan. With a muttered sigh, Bob approached, his frustration barely contained. "Here we go again," Bob grumbled under his breath, leaning in close enough for only Jonathan to hear. "Always flaunting those symbols. Don't you know how much it annoys everyone else?" Jonathan paused, his smile unwavering. "Bob, my friend," he replied smoothly, his voice carrying just enough warmth to diffuse tension. "You know that freedom of expression is the cornerstone of our society. Maybe it's time you try something a bit more cosmic. Ever considered a cosmic jumpsuit? It might lighten the mood around here." The suggestion drew a ripple of chuckles from nearby shoppers, some amused by Jonathan's quick wit, others clearly less entertained. The crowd began to gather, the space around them shrinking as onlookers' curiosity peaked. Smartphones emerged from pockets, screens angled to capture the unfolding drama. Bob's irritation flared, his voice rising above the ambient noise. "I don't care about your philosophical mumbo-jumbo. Your symbols are creating division, and I'm sick of it." Jonathan tilted his head slightly, maintaining his composure. "Division? I thought we were moving towards unity. Maybe you just need a fresh perspective. How about we start with that mop? It's looking a bit old-fashioned." A few laughter erupted from the crowd, but not all were amused. A middle-aged woman with a designer handbag shook her head disapprovingly, while a group of teenagers nearby snickered, filming the exchange for their social media feeds. The mall's atmosphere, usually a blend of excitement and routine, now hummed with a charged energy. Bob, feeling the weight of the crowd's attention, took a deep breath, his face reddening. "Enough is enough. I'm kicking you out of this place. Consider this your official eviction." Jonathan extended a hand, still smiling serenely. "Bob, there's no need for hostility. Let's talk this out over a coffee. I promise. I won't convert you to the dark side of red caps." Before Bob could retort, a sharp whistle pierced the air, drawing even more attention. A mall security guard, clipboard in hand, approached with an authoritative stride. "Is there a problem here?" Bob, flustered and desperate, pointed an accusatory finger at Jonathan. "This guy is causing a scene with his offensive symbols. I'm just trying to maintain peace." Jonathan chuckled lightly, stepping back to give Bob some space. "Officer, I assure you, we're merely engaging in a lively debate about personal expression and societal harmony." The security guard glanced between them, his expression a mix of skepticism and mild amusement. "All right, gentlemen, let's keep it civil. No need to escalate." Bob huffed, clearly unimpressed. "Fine, but he's out of my way." As Bob turned to leave, Jonathan called out with a wink. "Catch you later, Bob. Maybe next time with less blue and more cosmic vibes." The crowd erupted into a mixture of applause and laughter. the tension dissipating as quickly as it had built. Jonathan continued his walk through the mall, tipping his MAGA cap with a flourish, while Bob stomped away, muttering about the decline of civility. Behind them, a child tugged at her mother's sleeve, pointing excitedly at the scene. "Mom, did you see that? The man just told the janitor to wear a spacesuit." The mother smiled indulgently, snapping a quick photo. "Yes, honey. Sometimes adults can be pretty funny." As Jonathan disappeared into the throng of shoppers, the mall returned to its usual rhythm, the brief spectacle becoming just another story in the endless stream of urban life. Yet, for a moment, the Galactic Mall had been the stage for a clash of ideologies, setting the stage for a confrontation that promised to be anything but ordinary. Jonathan stood his ground, his calm demeanor a stark contrast to Bob's mounting frustration. He met Bob's irritated gaze head-on, the bustling mall fading into a blurry backdrop as the tension thickened the air. "I understand this isn't your favorite thing, Bob," Jonathan began, his voice steady and measured. "But why target me specifically? Maybe you have your own issues you're not addressing." Bob's face flushed a deeper shade of blue, his frustration bubbling over. "My issues? Your damn symbols are the issue! You're tearing us apart!" His voice rose, slicing through the ambient noise of the mall like a rogue cymbal in a symphony. The crowd around them started to murmur, eyes darting between the two men. Phones emerged from pockets and bags, screens pointed in Jonathan's direction, capturing every second of the unfolding drama. A young man nearby couldn't contain his amusement. "Look at him go! This is better than reality TV," he shouted, eliciting chuckles from his friends. Undeterred, Bob took a step closer, his agitation palpable. "You think this is funny? You're making everything worse with your stupid hat and whatnot." Jonathan tilted his head slightly, a playful smirk tugging at the corners of his mouth. "Well, Bob, if my hat is causing so much turmoil, maybe it's time to rethink your wardrobe. Ever considered a cosmic jumpsuit? It might help you reach for the stars instead of holding on to grudges." The suggestion drew a mixture of laughter and groans from the onlookers. A middle-aged woman with a latte in hand rolled her eyes, muttering under her breath, while a group of teenagers nearby snickered, already editing clips for their Instagram stories. Bob's anger surged, his voice now a booming roar. "I've had enough of this nonsense. I'm calling mall security. You're disrupting the peace with your ridiculous propaganda." Before Jonathan could respond, Bob lunged towards the nearest store clerk, grabbing her arm and dragging her into the fray. "Call security. This man is a threat to our community." The clerk, wide-eyed and trembling, fumbled for her phone. Meanwhile, the crowd's energy shifted from amusement to concern, whispers turning into louder exclamations. A security guard hurried over, clipboard in hand, trying to assess the situation. Jonathan raised his hands in a gesture of peace, his smile unwavering. "Hey now, let's not escalate things. We're all just trying to enjoy our day here. Maybe take a deep breath and chill out, Bob." Bob, not backing down, pointed an accusing finger at Jonathan. "No, you listen. Your symbols represent everything that's wrong with this place. Division, hate, ignorance." Jonathan took a step forward, maintaining his composure despite Bob's aggressive stance. "Division? Hate? I thought we were moving towards unity and understanding. Maybe it's you who needs to open up a little." The security guard approached, eyeing both men warily. "All right, what's going on here? We need to keep things under control." Bob turned to the guard, his voice still loud and desperate. "This guy is causing a scene with his offensive symbols. I'm just trying to keep the peace." Jonathan chuckled softly, his eyes twinkling with bemusement. "Officer, I assure you, we're simply having a passionate discussion about personal expression and societal harmony." The guard glanced between them, clearly struggling to maintain authority in the face of Bob's vehement accusations and Jonathan's calm rebuttals. The crowd watched with bated breath, some recording, others simply enthralled by the spectacle. Suddenly, a loud crash echoed from the far end of the mall as a display window shattered, drawing everyone's attention. Shoppers ducked for cover as a mannequin toppled, scattering clothes and accessories across the floor. The unexpected interruption provided a brief moment of chaos, diffusing the immediate tension between Jonathan and Bob. Taking advantage of the distraction, Bob attempted one last push. "I'm done here. You're out of my sight!" He turned to storm away, but Jonathan called out, his voice carrying over the din. "Bob, wait! Maybe you just need a fresh perspective. How about we grab a coffee and talk this out? No hats, no mops. Just two people trying to understand each other." For a split second, Bob hesitated, his chest heaving with frustration. The crowd held its collective breath, sensing a potential de-escalation. Then, with a dramatic sigh, Bob shook his head. "Nope, not today." As Bob stomped away, the security guard approached Jonathan, his expression a mix of confusion and relief. "You okay, sir? We don't want any trouble here." Jonathan nodded, his smile still intact. "All good, officer. Just a little misunderstanding. Happens all the time." The guard gave a reluctant nod, jotting down a note on his clipboard before moving on to address the shattered window. The crowd began to disperse, some shaking their heads in disbelief, others shaking fists at Bob's outburst. Jonathan watched Bob retreat, a thoughtful expression briefly crossing his face before he turned back to continue his stroll through the mall. As he walked, a child tugged at her mother's sleeve, pointing at him with wide eyes. "Mom, why is that man yelling at the janitor?" The mother smiled indulgently, snapping a quick photo for memories. "Sometimes people just need a little understanding, sweetheart." Jonathan chuckled to himself, his mind already pondering the strange encounter. Little did he know this was only the beginning of a much larger journey that would reveal his true identity and purpose in ways he could never have imagined. As he disappeared into the crowd, the Galactic Mall buzzed with the remnants of the confrontation, the story already morphing into a viral sensation. Phones buzzed with shared videos and memes, the clash of ideologies sparking conversations far beyond the polished floors and neon lights. Yet, amidst the chaos, Jonathan remained an enigmatic figure, his true nature still hidden beneath the brim of his MAGA cap. As the crowd's murmurs began to settle, Jonathan suddenly halted mid-step, his serene expression transforming into one of enigmatic resolve. His eyes shimmered with an unearthly light, and a soft ethereal glow enveloped him, causing nearby shoppers to blink in bewilderment. The ambient sounds of the Galactic Mall seemed to dim, focusing all attention on the unfolding spectacle. "Bob!" Jonathan called out, his voice now carrying a mysterious undertone. "Do you realize you're standing in front of someone far more significant than you ever imagined?" Bob froze, his aggression faltering as confusion replaced his earlier fury. He took a hesitant step back, squinting at Jonathan. "What are you? Who are you supposed to be?" he demanded, his voice shaky with uncertainty. Jonathan's smile widened, a hint of mischief dancing in his eyes. He extended his hand, palm open in a gesture of peace. "I'm Jonathan Smith, but I'm also a time traveler, a sage from the future, sent to help humanity grasp the true value of diversity and mutual respect." Gasps rippled through the crowd as Jonathan's revelation hung in the air. The soft lights around him intensified, swirling in mesmerizing patterns, before coalescing into a brilliant flash. In an instant, Jonathan vanished, leaving Bob standing alone, mouth agape and eyes darting around in disbelief. For a moment, the mall was silent, the weight of Jonathan's words sinking in. Then, just as suddenly as he had disappeared, Jonathan reappeared a few feet away, the glowing lights dissipating into the usual fluorescent brightness of the mall. His presence now seemed even more profound, his eyes reflecting a depth of wisdom that hadn't been apparent before. Bob staggered back, rubbing his temples as he tried to process what he had just witnessed. "This is unreal," he muttered, glancing around to gauge the crowd's reaction. Faces that had been contorted in anger moments before were now painted with a mixture of awe and skepticism. Jonathan approached Bob with a calm, measured pace, his demeanor exuding an almost otherworldly tranquility. "Bob, sometimes the answers we seek come wrapped in the unexpected. Perhaps this is a sign for you to reconsider your stance." Bob, still reeling from the sudden display, couldn't find the words to respond. Instead, he let out a long, shaky breath, his shoulders slumping in reluctant defeat. The crowd watched in stunned silence, the tension of the previous confrontation now replaced with an air of reverent curiosity. A young woman, clutching her smartphone tightly, whispered to her friend, "Did you see that? It was like something out of a sci-fi movie." Another bystander, an elderly man with a cane, nodded slowly. Maybe there's more to him than meets the eye. Jonathan turned to face the crowd, his presence now commanding yet humble. We all have our battles, our prejudices, but understanding and empathy can bridge even the widest of divides. Let's strive to be better, for ourselves and for each other. With those final words, Jonathan gave a subtle nod and began to walk away, his MAGA cap now seeming less like a symbol of division and more like a beacon of potential unity. As he moved through the throng of amazed onlookers, the atmosphere shifted from one of conflict to contemplation. Bob stood there, a mixture of confusion and newfound respect battling within him. Slowly, he extended his hand toward Jonathan, who paused and clasped it firmly. I didn't realize," Bob began, his voice tinged with remorse, "that I was so caught up in my own frustrations." Jonathan smiled warmly. "We all have our moments, Bob. It's never too late to change." Before Bob could respond, a child darted forward, tugging at Jonathan's sleeve. "Mister, are you a superhero?" she asked, her eyes wide with wonder. Jonathan chuckled softly, bending down to meet her gaze. "You could say that, kiddo. Every day is a chance to be someone's hero." As the child beamed up at him, Jonathan turned back to Bob. "Remember, true strength lies in understanding and compassion." With a final nod, Jonathan continued his walk through the mall, leaving behind a trail of inspired and reflective individuals. The crowd slowly dispersed, the earlier tension replaced by thoughtful conversations and shared glances of realization. Bob stood in the middle of the now quieted area, the weight of Jonathan's words settling in. He looked down at his own MAGA cap, a symbol he had once worn with pride, now seeming to carry a deeper meaning. With a sigh, he removed the cap and held it thoughtfully in his hands. "Maybe it's time for a change," he whispered to himself, the first step toward a new understanding beginning to take root. As the day continued, the story of Jonathan's transformation and mysterious revelation spread like wildfire across social media. Videos capturing the moment went viral, sparking debates and discussions far beyond the walls of the Galactic Mall. Memes and hashtags proliferated, turning Jonathan into an overnight sensation and igniting conversations about tolerance, acceptance, and the power of empathy. Yet, amidst the chaos of viral fame, Jonathan remained an enigmatic figure, his true identity and purpose still cloaked in mystery. Little did anyone know, his journey was only just beginning, and the lessons he imparted that day were the first of many that would shape the future in ways no one could have anticipated. As night fell over the city, the Galactic Mall's bright lights flickered softly, casting long shadows that danced across the polished floors. In a quiet corner, Bob stood alone, the MAGA cap now lying on the ground beside him. He picked it up, holding it close as he pondered the extraordinary events of the day. With a newfound sense of purpose, he looked up at the stars twinkling above the urban skyline, wondering what other surprises the universe had in store. And somewhere in the vast expanse of time and space, Jonathan Smith, the time-traveling sage, continued his mission, guided by the belief that even the smallest acts of understanding could ignite profound change. Bob stood there, utterly stunned, his mouth hanging open as he struggled to process the surreal transformation he had just witnessed. The once lively crowd around him now teetered between panic and amusement, their eyes darting from Bob to the spot where Jonathan had just vanished. Some people began to murmur nervously, while others couldn't help but chuckle at the janitor's bizarre behavior. Just then, the giant digital display at the center of the Galactic Mall flickered to life, drawing everyone's attention. The screen began to play a video captured by one of the many smartphones that had emerged to document the spectacle. The footage showed Jonathan's incredible transformation, his eyes glowing, the ethereal light surrounding him, and his declaration of being a time-traveling sage. A confident voice narrated over the video. "This man isn't just a Republican, he's a sage from the future sent to teach us the importance of tolerance and understanding." The video quickly went viral, spreading like wildfire across social media platforms. Within minutes, Jonathan was trending worldwide, hailed as a modern-day philosopher and peacekeeper. Bob, now fully comprehending the gravity of his actions, felt a wave of regret wash over him. He stepped forward, his face reddened with embarrassment. "Jonathan, I'm sorry," he stammered, but the damage was already done. The crowd's reaction had shifted entirely. What was once a tense standoff was now a scene of public shaming for Bob's aggressive behavior. As the video continued to play, showcasing Jonathan's heartfelt message, the crowd's support for him swelled. Applause erupted from all sides, drowning out Bob's futile attempts to apologize. Shoppers cheered, some wiping away tears of inspiration, while others simply nodded in agreement with Jonathan's words. The mall's management swiftly intervened. A stern-looking manager approached Bob, who was still rooted to the spot, unable to meet anyone's gaze. "Bob, I'm afraid we have to let you go," the manager declared, her voice firm but fair. "Your conduct today is unacceptable, and we can't have that kind of behavior here." Bob's shoulders slumped as he was escorted away, the weight of his actions pressing down on him. The crowd, however, remained focused on Jonathan, who stood humbly amidst the applause. He took a modest bow, acknowledging the support with a graceful smile. "Thank you all for your understanding," Jonathan addressed the crowd, his voice warm and genuine. "Remember, each of us has the power to change and grow. Let's strive to open our hearts and minds, embracing the diversity that makes our world so vibrant." A young woman near the front raised her phone, capturing the moment. "This guy is amazing," she whispered to her friend, who nodded enthusiastically. Memes and inspirational quotes about tolerance and unity began to flood social media, further cementing Jonathan's status as a viral hero. Bob, now outside the mall, watched the scene unfold from a distance. The realization of his mistake hit him hard. He took a deep breath, feeling a mix of shame and determination. "I need to change," he muttered to himself, the MAGA cap lying forgotten on the ground beside him. He picked it up, holding it thoughtfully as he gazed up at the bright lights of the mall. The once proudly worn symbol now felt heavy with a new meaning, one that Bob was only beginning to understand. Back inside, Jonathan continued to bask in the positive energy, his presence a beacon of hope and unity. As the crowd began to disperse, people lingered, discussing the profound encounter and the lessons learned. The Galactic Mall buzzed with renewed conversations about empathy, acceptance, and the importance of seeing beyond symbols to the person within. Just as the last of the applause faded, Jonathan felt a gentle tug at his sleeve. He turned to see a little girl, her eyes wide with admiration. "Mister, are you really a time traveler?" she asked, her voice filled with wonder. Jonathan knelt down to her level, smiling warmly. "In a way, yes. I'm here to help everyone travel to a better future, one step at a time." The girl beamed, hugging his hand tightly. "I think you're the coolest person ever." With that, Jonathan stood up, giving her a final nod before turning to leave. As he walked away, a subtle shimmer surrounded him once more. The crowd watched in awe as he began to fade, his form dissolving into a cascade of sparkling lights. In a blink, he was gone, leaving behind a lingering sense of inspiration and hope. The Galactic Mall slowly returned to its usual rhythm, but the impact of Jonathan's visit was undeniable. Conversations about unity and understanding echoed through the corridors, and the story of the cosmic janitor and the time-traveling sage became a beloved tale shared among friends and family. As night fell over the city, the mall's lights continued to shine brightly, a testament to the day's extraordinary events. Bob, now outside and reflecting on everything that had transpired, felt a renewed sense of purpose. He tucked the MAGA cap into his pocket, a symbol not of division, but of his personal journey towards empathy and change. In the distance, the stars twinkled above, whispering secrets of time and space. Somewhere beyond the veil of reality, Jonathan Smith continued his mission, guided by the belief that even the smallest acts of kindness and understanding could spark monumental change. And so the story concluded on a heartwarming note. Jonathan had vanished, leaving behind a trail of inspiration and the promise of a brighter future, while Bob embarked on his path of redemption, embodying the very values Jonathan had come to teach. As the crowd dispersed, smiles lingered on their faces, hearts a little lighter, and minds a little more open. The Galactic Mall had witnessed a remarkable clash of ideologies, but more importantly, it had become the birthplace of a movement towards greater tolerance and unity. Who knew a janitor could change the world? A shopper mused aloud, eliciting laughter and agreement from those around them. The day had been anything but ordinary, and its lessons would resonate long after the final footsteps echoed through the bustling halls.